Welcome to Rock City Cookies, where we talk about all things cookies. If you're new to the channel, hit that subscribe button and click the bell icon to be notified when we upload a new video. Thanks for watching. Hey sweet friends, welcome back to my member exclusive video series all about royal icing. In this series, I have shared with you how I make my own royal icing recipe, and I shared with you that recipe as well as a lot of tips and tricks that I use in making my icing. I have also talked to you through how I bag my royal icing because, believe it or not, I have a system for that as well. And finally, in today's video, I want to talk to you about how I freeze my icing. If you have watched any of my videos, you know I talk a lot about freezing my icing. I save all of my leftover royal icing, but what does that look like? How do I do it? How do I keep it safe in my freezer to use time and time again in other sets? Well, we're going to talk about it today, and it is easy peasy, but there are a few little tips and tricks that I have learned that I want to share with you guys to kind of save you some time when you go to freeze your icing. So without further ado, let's get into it. Now, the icing that I chose to do with this video was actually the icing that I used in my St. Patrick's Day video, which was also an exclusive tutorial on here. So in this video, it's actually going to be a lot of green icing that I will be saving, but I do have some other colors, and you'll see all of my icing bags that have my colors that I have saved in it. So now that I'm done with my set, obviously I don't have completely full icing bags anymore. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my icing bag, take off my little clip, my bag clip that I use to keep my icing safe from spilling out of my bags while I'm working with it. And then I'm going to move the icing away from the tip of the bag, and I'm going to get a piece of Scotch tape. I will fold up the tip of my bag just so that my icing is not continuing to spill out of the bag. Fold it up, and then with your Scotch tape, just tape down the bag onto itself. It really is super easy. Okay, so let's do it again. Remove your bag clip, move the icing away from the tip of the bag, fold up the tip onto the bag itself so that in your freezer your icing isn't leaking out of your bag. And then with your Scotch tape, just put your tape onto the tip so that it tapes down the tip to the bag, and then wrap the Scotch tape around the bag. That's it. It really isn't hard. Now, the reason why you want to make sure to not just tape just the edge, because used to I would just tape just the tip of the bag and I would put that into my freezer, the icing would leak because the tape gets moisture in it and it loses its stickiness. And so eventually the icing, which you know is part water, will leak through. So by folding up the tip of your bag and then taping down, you're preventing the leaking to just be dripping down that opening in your bag. So it is a crucial tip that took me a long time before I discovered how useful it was and how life-changing it was to just fold up the tip and tape it down. So you will do this over and over and over again for all of your leftover icing. Now, I used to originally, when I first started, I just kept the bag clips that you see here, which I will link down below. I use them every time I use icing to keep my icing from spilling out as I'm working with it. I used to keep the bag clips on my bags and just put those in the freezer, but I was having the same issue. The bag clips aren't foolproof. They don't give that complete closure, so I was still having leakage, but also I needed bag clips as I was actually working with icing. And so I didn't have just hundreds of bag clips that I could keep bag clips on my icing bags while they were in the freezer, as well as have bag clips that I could currently use with every set I was making. So I eventually opted for this taping technique, and I do freeze my icing in these bags. These are food safe bags. Your piping bags are. And so you don't have to worry about it not being in a safe container. I just keep all of my icing in the bags that they were in, because when I go to make fresh icing, I squeeze out all of the icing anyway. I'm not reusing the bags, I'm just reusing the icing. Once I have it all taped and it all goes into my freezer and I need a certain color and I pull it out, well, in the last video, you saw me squeeze out that old icing from these bags that I'm taping into a bowl. I had then added fresh icing into that old icing, and then I rebagged it. I'm not reusing these bags. I don't recommend reusing bags because they do get weak And when you're working with icing in bags, you do have the potential of the bag exploding on you. And if you've never had that happen, I've only had it happen one time, and it was because I had really thick icing and I was trying to too small of a hole to pipe it out of. And so the pressure built and it did eventually explode. I've only had that happen one time and it was miserable. I don't stretch my bags. I don't reuse bags. I know some people will wash their old bags and use them again. I don't do any of that. Bags are inexpensive enough of an expense for me that I just purchase them in bulk and I just use a new bag every single time. But that being said, I freeze in the existing bags that they're in because it's a great medium just to keep them in. You're not dirtying any other dishes, and they freeze really well in the piping bags. I've never had an issue. All right, so we are down to our last bag. So again, you just pull down the tip and tape it securely to the bag. No more leaks, and you are able to safely freeze all of your icing this way. All right, so now that our bags are all taped up and you can see I'm squeezing the bag and there's no icing coming out, it really does prevent the icing from leaking. We are going to put them into freezer safe bags so that then they can go into our actual freezer. So I group all of my colors into one freezer safe bag based on similar color schemes. So all of my oranges and yellows go in a bag together. My browns and beiges go in a bag together. I put all of my greens together. My purples go in a different bag. My reds and my pinks go in the same bag. And then I have my white, black, and gray. They go together. I think that's probably it. I may be missing a color scheme. I guess blue. Maybe I didn't say blue. All of my blues go in one bag together as well. That's just the way I like to keep my colored icing organized in my freezer. You can do it however you want, but I do recommend that you do put your icing bags into a freezer safe bag and then they can go into your freezer. I prefer keeping them in the freezer that's in my kitchen because that's easiest access, although I have put them in my deep freeze out my garage and that works just as well. And remember, when your icing is ready to be made into new fresh icing, it only takes about 30 minutes to thaw. Pull out whatever icing you need about 30 minutes before you're ready to mix it with your new icing and it is good to go. I hope this video was helpful and encouraging to you to, in the future, freeze all of your icing, save money, save time, freeze your icing to use again in future sets. The next video I have in this series is going to show you how I fix craters, because craters happen a lot. No matter how and what you do to prevent them, you will still at some point in time have to deal with craters. So I'm going to show you how I personally fix the craters that I encounter in my sets. And I have a lot more videos coming your way soon. But as always, you are the most special people to me. You are my members. You are the precious heartbeat of my business. So if you have any questions at all and you would like to see me do a video on a certain technique, on a certain design, on how I do anything in this business, please don't hesitate to ask. You can send me a message, you can comment on my videos, you can comment on Patreon, however you want to do that, feel free, because I would love to help you succeed in your business as well. And that's it for now. I am signing off. Thank you again for watching. Thank you again for supporting, and I will see you in the next one. Bye-bye.